Hey, beautiful souls, it's Catherine. You don't have to believe in the unity consciousness, thought, and action paradigm in order for it to work for you. This is a way to take the premise of oneness and apply it to your life in a very practical, hands-on way, and where you just kind of plug and play. You take the practices and the ideas and the thoughts that I'm offering up in Unity School, my private membership community, and you plug them into your life and watch the transformation that happens. And the kicker is that you don't have to believe in any of it. Not really. And in fact, I kind of invite my community to not create new beliefs. And here's why. Today in Unity School, we were talking about the Matrix. And the way I think of the Matrix is, yes, it's 3D reality that is received in a level of perception that is distorted. It's corrupted data. It's based on false premises of dichotomies that don't exist, contrast that doesn't even really exist, because everything that is just love. That's it. Everything else is a distortion and everything else is corrupted data. You can call it contrast, you can call it conflict. But we are here in this 3D level of reality experience to play. It's like a giant sandbox. It's like a playground. And actually our souls were super excited about coming here and playing with this and using this experience as feedback. I don't even call them lessons because that implies that there's like a pass or fail. And that's just more dichotomy of failure and success to play with, which are constructs that also don't really exist. What if instead we are love experiencing itself through this experience called consciousness, and this consciousness is having experience. You are consciousness having experience. In that, the experience is neutral, it's impartial. In other words, it's experience that's just happening, and the only meaning derived from it is the meaning that you create as a fractal of consciousness, giving a label to something, value to something based on your experience, and if you like it or not. If you really strip that down, there's just experience, it's neutral and impartial, and there's what you prefer to experience, and there's what you prefer not to experience. Now, the Matrix implies a sphere of reality that is actually self-imposed by the mind, because the mind thinks it's you. And the mind is going off of corrupted data over a lifetime. In fact, the first time you were told no, you learned what it meant, or were able to have an experience of what it meant to experience limitation. And this is interesting for a soul that is infinite, unlimited, and just creator being. So when you were first told no, that's when the Matrix first started to form. And then the mind, which likes to create stories and likes to create meaning with the help of the ego, which they're kind of the same function, the mind and the ego, start creating meaning around that no. And the second that happens, you start to have a whole host of experiences that start to build out as a story and actually end up being a sphere or a bubble of influence that you live inside for a whole lifetime. So you see, when some people talk about the Matrix, they talk about this thing that's imposed by some outside force to keep us all dulled in our senses and to keep us from being awakened. I don't think that at all. I actually have had a much different experience, that the Matrix is your mind. And it functions, the mind, as a story based on a whole host of beliefs and what you think you believe over a lifetime. So let's look at beliefs in this premise for a second. If it's true that your beliefs build out this matrix or closed circuit experience of reality, that you live inside this bubble and it's very hard to have your consciousness move beyond the bubble if your entire state of being is invested in the belief that this is me, this sphere, this story, this narrative is me. It's very hard, in fact impossible, to see outside of that. because you would have to move in your state of consciousness, shift, elevate your state of consciousness to be able to see outside of the matrix and move into an open circuit experience, which is what I call unity consciousness. And the second you start to question everything you think you believe you know and have that level of curiosity, you begin to shift and elevate your consciousness outside of the sphere, outside of this matrix, outside of closed circuit experience. The second you do that, you mimic source, God, consciousness itself, because it is that curiosity that you're operating with, asking questions with, questioning your own beliefs with, is the exact same energy that created everything we think of as physical reality. It's like consciousness asking, what does a world look like? What does a table look like? What does that plant look like? What does Catherine's dog look like? It's that endless curiosity. And you can mimic that and move into that elevating state of consciousness where you only spiral up higher and higher in your awareness by simply being curious, asking questions. And so where do you start? You start questioning what you believe. You start questioning what you think you believe you know, because those are the exact things that are keeping you locked down in a sphere of consciousness that is closed circuit, meaning it is unto itself and you can't see anything outside of it. You don't have awareness of anything outside of it. So when you open up to that, it becomes very, very exciting. Life starts to get a lot more interesting, juicy. There are more details. You start to see colors a little bit brighter. You start to accept and forgive yourself in a different way, in a more wholesome and beautiful and open way. You start to open your gaze, open your eyes to things that you simply could not see before because you were living behind that veil of closed circuit experience. So in Unity School, where we talk today about unity consciousness being an open circuit experience, meaning you're plugged into everything that's available and you're not limited by anything, except when you move back into what you think you believe you know, which is the closed circuit experience or the matrix. So what would it be like if you just started to question right now your beliefs? And if you started to look at beliefs in such a way that, well, let's give it some context. You can believe in the Easter Bunny and still have no evidence whatsoever in your entire life that the Easter Bunny exists. Now that's going to keep your focus, your awareness, your attention trained on there's an Easter Bunny. So you're constantly going to be looking for evidence, looking for proof that there is an Easter Bunny. And you're essentially, the mind is so good at following the directives like just look for Easter Bunny, that it's not looking for anything else outside of it. And you stay in that closed circuit experience. So there could be the mid-Easter cacao goddess who's incredibly more benevolent and powerful and wonderful and gives you deliciousness of chocolate for the rest of April. And she could be right in front of your face and you'd never see her because you're looking for the Easter Bunny. Now, our beliefs about ourselves are like that. You might have beliefs about you being unworthy. You might have beliefs about you being undeserving. You might have beliefs about you being unlovable, incapable. And through that level of misperceiving, being inside that closed circuit experience of life where you're only plugged into the things that corroborate with those beliefs that you're unworthy, undeserving, unloving, etc., that you would never see all the evidence to the contrary that's outside of that, that's available for you, that you are in fact deserving, that you're never not undeserving, that you're worthy by the fact that you exist, that you are a fractal of consciousness itself, living out an experience of consciousness to give feedback to the field of consciousness through your own individuated experience. And you might believe those things about being unworthy and undeserving for a whole lifetime, and again, not see any evidence of it. And what your reticular activating system will actually do is just keep scanning for the truth of that and scanning for any risks that negate the truth of what you believe, because that's how powerful the mind is at carrying out your dictates, your particular directives and orders for looking for what you want to corroborate as true. Now, busting out of this matrix is actually simpler than you realize. It starts with curiosity. It starts with questioning what you think you believe you know. And the moment you get more curious, just by asking questions. You start to spiral up in your awareness, elevate your consciousness, and you'll notice something very interesting. That things that you couldn't see before, you can call them coincidences. Psst, there aren't any. You could call it randomness, things showing up as synchronicities. There is only synchronicity. The nature of the universe being all love is the definition of synchronicity itself. Everything lines up because everything is love. You'll see things show up in your reality you'll call the miracles. There are no miracles. The nature of life and the current of life itself is pure miraculousness, full stop. So this is kind of radical, but it's also incredibly simple and elegant, and this is what we're doing in Unity School. And today is the last day to join at $100 a month in this incredible community. It's a private community on the school platform. We get to engage with each other without any interference from social media platforms that tell us what we can and can't say. We get to kind of poke the hornet's nest of the beliefs that are not only systemic throughout the collective, but your own individual beliefs that are keeping you stuck and locked down in consciousness and keeping you just that much further away from everything you prefer to experience in your life. So if you want to join, you want to know more, I got the info down below. I hope that I've effectively blown your mind a little bit, and this has been at least fun for you to listen to. If this really makes your ears perk up and lights up your heart, Unity School is a beautiful community for you to consider joining, and I hope that you do. I hope to see you on the inside. Bye-bye.